Alright, another two-part video. Here we're going to be fighting Garangoth and Malice Thorm. So, first thing you see me doing here is throwing some rotten food. And the reason I'm doing that is just to build acuity with the Gloves of Battlemage's power. I mentioned this before, but anything you throw that can take damage can be used to build acuity with the gloves. And so I like carrying around rotten food because, like, what else are you going to do with it? It's just a very cheap item you can throw. You don't have to waste your potions. And then also the Boots of Elemental Momentum trick that I showed in the last video, you can also use the rotten food for that. That being said, I am a little sloppy here with maintaining my acuity before actually starting the fight. You see me frantically trying to build it back up as I go. I end with only 4 at this point, but it ends up being enough for what I need.
First step is the hardest.
So I actually didn't know that casting Reduced Person on Garangoth there would not trigger combat. I assumed that it would count as a hostile action, but it actually doesn't, which is sort of interesting. But, in case you didn't know, so Reduced Person, or it's just called Reduced, doesn't have to be a humanoid, it reduces the size category of the target by 1, and if they're not a ally of yours, then they get a saving throw to resist it, a Constitution save, which is why I was buffing my acuity. And what Reduce does is it reduces their size category by 1, and that divides their weight by 2.3. And that's very useful for a throw build because that reduction in weight is often enough to move them down to a weight that is low enough for you to throw them. I learned this from Captain ET, actually. He's an active poster on the BG3 Build subreddit, also has a YouTube channel with that same username. I will put a link to his channel in the description. Another thing I learned doing this that I didn't know beforehand is that Enlarge/Reduce doesn't seem to give an additional saving throw after the first one. So if you can just land the Reduce on them, it'll just stick as long as you can hold your concentration. $973 damage seems good. Alright, so throwing someone that you can't normally throw is one of the flashier things you can do with the Reduce spell. But another thing you can do, slightly less flashy, still quite useful, is Improvise Melee Weapon. Just like Throw, Improvise Melee Weapon uses your strength to calculate the maximum weight that you can pick up. And so if you reduce someone, you can move them around, which is kind of the big thing I've been doing with this character. Move them around with Improvised Weapon, even if they'd normally be too heavy to do that. And Malice Thorm is in that category. He is normally too heavy to be picked up with 20 strength, so I'm going to reduce him here so I can reposition him at my leisure. The reason the enemies are just wandering around the room and aren't gathered for the operation like they normally are is I actually already started this fight once and kind of messed it up, and I had to invisible and run away. So this is take 2. But important lesson for solo honor runs. If you mess something up bad enough, do not be afraid to run away because you only have 1 life. Here I'm realizing that because I put my haste potion out in the foyer, where I'm planning to go eventually, but that means that I won't have 2 actions on this first turn, so I can't reduce him and pick him up in the same turn. You don't have to spend your action to use Improvised Melee Weapon if you cancel it, but you do have to have an action available in order to initiate it. Something fun about using reduce is just like, look how tiny his character model is. It's like a little miniature. Very funny. The pathfinding for improvised melee weapon is finicky as always. It gets especially confused when you try to go through doorways. So sometimes you have to break up your grapples, and as long as you are just dropping them before you reach the end of the path, you're fine. You can do that. Arcane Lock to force a separation between Malice and his surgeon's assistants, because he needs to be able to reach them and see them in order to request an instrument from them. I wish I had done this before he got the chance to get that bone saw, because he does have it here, but this prevents him from doing it again. Alright, successfully got him separated from his ads, but I'm not done moving him. I've got another place I want to take him to. I do want to just point out that the movement speed I have here, I'm not even using the elemental momentum trick. This is just from Wood Elf, Longstrider, Crusher's Ring, Haste, and then dash and or click heals from the Boots of Speed. That's enough to get so much movement speed that you can just like carry people across the battlefield. I don't want to just try throwing him in the water here because he has the Surgeon's Subjugation Amulet, very strong amulet that lets you paralyze someone on a critical hit. So I want to make sure I'm able to loot him.
First step is the hardest.
So one limitation of trying to get gravity kills this way is if the person you're throwing is resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, they will be resistant to the fall damage they take here. I think that's probably why Malice survived that fall. I think if he hadn't been resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, that probably would have killed him. But unfortunately, bludgeoning damage from the ground is not magical. I know, sad. There's a few ways to get around this. The one I'll be using in Act 3 is the Bone Spike Gloves. This just gets around all resistance to physical damage. You can also wield the Adamantine Mace, sort of a clever way to get around bludgeoning resistance. I didn't end up picking that up in this run. And then you can also give them vulnerability with the Amulet of Branding, which is also just useful in general for fall damage kills. And I do pick that up later. I hadn't gotten it at this point in the run, though. Not sure why I don't seem to be getting crushing damage there. This is definitely a high enough fall to cause crushing damage from throwing something. But I don't know, I just think the way the game calculates collision of falling objects is very strange. I don't know why it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. I like how immediately after breaking down the door, she's like, now's the time to take the long way. Now that I can get through this way, I should stop trying to go this way. That time I seem to have got a bit of crushing damage. I'm not sure if it's being inconsistent or if maybe I just wasn't seeing the damage pop up. Sometimes the way the damage numbers are layered over each other, you can't see the ones that are behind. So I do get a little greedy here. I wanted to throw her at him so that I could kill her with the fall damage and deal some extra damage to him via crushing, because she's obviously heavier than a weapon. But that requires me to spend a little more movement speed than I have, which puts me in an exposed position. You can almost feel my frustration through the screen. I'm like, please let me throw her at him. It'll be so funny.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I about had a heart attack when this happened. I honestly should have seen it coming, but I was just so so laser focused on throwing her that I didn't leave enough movement to back away from the ledge. So now suddenly I'm down there. I lost half my health. I'm close enough for him to hit me, and then he's even resurrected one of his assistants that I very conveniently threw down there for him. So now my heart is definitely racing. I'm not actually sure that this was the best use of a throw and then my other action. Probably would have been better to just run away and heal up a little bit. Rewatching this, I almost didn't want to upload this fight just because I'm like, dude, why on earth was I taking that risk? I was clearly imagining that Cold a Week would finish him off from the throw damage, but I should have just thrown a healing potion at my feet and run away. I had enough speed from the haste potion that I could have gotten some distance, but don't know what I was thinking. But you got to show the mess ups in addition to the successes. I mean, I have so much movement speed that it ends up being fine. When you have, more than double your opponent's movement speed, you can just kite them pretty easily because they have to dash just to keep up with you. So it's not punished for my my greed back there, but it was close. Important thing about the lightning jabber is that it deals the bonus lightning throwing damage even on a miss. I realized that and then know that I'm going to be able to kill him guaranteed if I just throw the spear at him. I'm really determined to get the throw kill on her because I feel it'll be cathartic, after that near brush with death. I just really need to throw one of them into the water. The other lovely assistant leaves combat because she's too far away, which marks the end of an unnecessarily stressful fight. If you thought that was interesting, if you liked some of those texts I used, I encourage you to pop in for the rest of the series. I'll be using improvised weapon a lot more, movement speed a lot more. And if you enjoy the series, I always appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe.